Hey, it's JANG here from the unofficial LEGO Hero Factory MOX blog and Bionicle Untold. And in this video, I'm going to be looking at Nitroblast. It is set number 2194 from the late 2010, early 2011 LEGO Hero Factory releases. Nitroblast is, of course, a villain. And let's take a look and see what's inside the box. All right, once again, we have 2 bags, instructions, some accessories, main body piece. Let me look at the instructions real quick, just see how long this is going to be. Is it going to be 26 pages? 28 pages. All right, this is a medium, just a medium-sized build. Shouldn't be too tough. Big bag has your larger parts in it, and then the smaller bag just has just a relatively small number of the little accessories, mostly those spikes or horns. And I see one new piece, a Baraki eye in green. It's a neon green, not your traditional translucent neon green, but the radioactive green. I don't know what the specific color of that is. That's going to be an interesting part to collect. Let me take a look at the mask here real quick. This is the side that is for Nitroblast, and this is the side for Jetbug. Jetbug's mask is, of course, yellow, but this is one of those double-sided ones. This piece caught my eye pretty quickly. This is in translucent neon orange. It is the same mold as the piece that was used for the radioactive sludge tank for, what was that villain's name? Meltdown from the 2010 Hero Factory sets. I'm not sure if this was used in a system set previously also, but cool piece. And then other than that, I know you've seen these feet before. Glad to see some Bionicle parts still hanging around. One of these pieces again, this is a good piece to use for building engines. This was also used in Fire Lord and Drill Dozer. And a bunch of armor pieces that use the standard new ball socket connection. We've got one, this is a familiar looking piece. This is printed. It's not a sticker, it's actually printed on. And then we actually have 2 of these pieces here, which are main body armor pieces. These are the same pieces that are used for the under armor, or the main core armor for the heroes. This one's in the dark pearl gray, and this one's in just pure black. These each attach with just a single ball socket joint. And let me quickly look at some of the, speaking of ball socket joints, what all do we have here? This is the assortment that we get. We have a couple of the long ones, one in this style, the open ball joint at one end, one of that same length but with a partially closed ball joint. It's a swivel joint that gives you mostly range of motion in one axis. Here's another with the one axis at the end and the socket at the other end. Got a couple like this, shorter version of the first one, shorter still. These are all very usable parts. And then one of these guys, which is the replacement for what we used to have in Bionicle. It used to have a pin hole down the middle, and it had two axle holes on each side. Now, instead of all that connectivity, you just have the sockets at the ends and one ball joint in the middle for attaching armor to. Nitroblast has 3 of these things. I don't yet know what the official name is for these parts, but you've seen them used as just a central chest piece on the villains so far. 2 in red, 1 in the dark pearl gray. Probably collectible pieces. A couple pieces of these nice, very usable fire pieces. They're slightly flexible, not completely rubbery, but not completely plastic either. And the body, I've almost neglected to show you this, is a light gray, very light gray ball socket joint. It's the first one of these that I've seen so far in this color. And then the body is the same body that's used by the heroes, except this one is in red. So that's an interesting variation. I don't know that that was so important that they come up with one that's in red. I think black was working just fine for all of them, but let me go ahead and start building this guy up. So there he is, Nitroblast, all completed. And let's just take a look at what you get with him. One thing that was very noticeably absent was a head. There's no actual headpiece, there's just a mask, which leaves this completely empty and open under here. I think the face looks pretty good actually, and I really like that new color of Baraki eye there. But yeah, it actually works out. I was surprised when I put it all together, and the character kind of came through. It just looks like he has a long, elongated head, which is okay. You know, it doesn't have to be all human-like all the time. For movability, this arm has just single joints on it. So with the new style of armor that they have, there's always tons of range of motion there. You can do anything you want with this arm. Over on this side, we have quite a lot of bulk, but it's attached by just a single point here. This whole extra strut that they added on to give you double support for the arm is kind of flexible. You can see how it's moving in the back, even though I'm not actually moving the arm joints just yet. You can do like this, it's okay, but once you start trying to move the upper arm forward and back, it's really limiting. You've got to bend this inner joint. It can move. It can get up there pretty high. There we go. It's just a little bit of a pain. There's a lot of friction in these joints. I really don't think they needed to go double up with this guy because he doesn't really have a lot of weight out here. This is hollow. I think they could have done this with a single, but they were making it look a little bit more bulky, a little stronger. It looks good. It's just a little bit difficult to pose, but it's definitely going to hold whatever pose you put them in. The legs, of course, are single jointed, and whatever you want to do with those. Raise his knees up to his chest. Just watch out for the little spike pieces. This piece here, this printed armor piece on the right upper leg, when I was first doing the unboxing, I thought that this looked familiar, but it actually isn't the same thing that I thought it was. I was thinking of this piece over here, which is clearly different. It's interesting that each of the villains has a unique printed part, at least one unique printed part. The Fire Lord has a bunch of duplicated ones, but it makes me wonder if they're going to do sort of a Bionicle Stars sort of thing where you can collect a bunch of parts, except rather than from good guys and bad guys, it'll be just from the bad guys to create one huge mega villain later on as a combiner set. That would be very interesting. Also, the heroes do have a unique printed piece each, but they have their names on them, so it's not quite as good for doing a combiner, I don't think. But this guy looks really good. I really like the look of him, and he would have been my favorite villain were it not for that left arm. It's so stiff, it really limits the playability. It just adds a little bit of frustration and difficulty to posing him around. But he does pose however you want him to, pretty much. I like the little tank, probably a magma tank or a lava tank on the back. They turn it upside down compared to the way that same molded piece was used on Meltdown. A lot of expressiveness in the face, looks very evil. I like that. It does have the jet bug face on the back, but it's not so obvious like it is with the other villains, just because of the shape and the fact that it doesn't have a head inside of there, and it's so asymmetrical. You know, there's so much room, there's so much of the mask itself or the head sticking out towards the front. It doesn't bother me so much. And this is also one of the better looking 2011 Hero Factory sets so far from the back. I mean, it still is a little bit raw with this leg, arm, whatever you want to call it, piece going across the side with an open socket right here. But all in all, it still looks pretty decent. I think this is, I'm going to call this my favorite looking Hero Factory villain set from the new series. Of course, you always have with the villains the nice little Zamor sphere or meteor sphere, whatever they're calling them now, probably lava sphere or something like that. And no two ones of these are identical because they have a random mixing in them. I love these pieces, they're really great looking. You have a lot of use of the dark pearl gray in this character. But the yellow they use for these spikes is a darker yellow. It's almost the Kitangu orange. I haven't looked at the parts directly next to each other, but I'm really glad that they didn't go with a bright yellow, because the overall look ends up just kind of working together. You know, everything looks like it's a continuous theme. So I appreciate that. I just wish that this arm was a little bit more loose. But that's it. That's it for this build. That is Nitroblast. He is set number 2194, the 2011 early LEGO Hero Factory Villains series. Hope you enjoyed this. I hope you will subscribe to my channel. It's LEGO JANG on YouTube if you haven't already. And also check out my blogs, and I'll be posting up a lot more soon. So I hope to see you again. Bye for now.